the end.
After having referenced this game in my Family Guy game review, I was always hoping to give this game a play. Then, one decent trade-in haul later that knocked the price down to something a bit more tolerable, I got my hands on it. Futurama the video game. Developed by Unique Development Studios and published by Vivendi Universal Games in North America and Cygames in Europe, this game was released on the PS2 and Xbox on August 1st, 2003 for Europe, and August 13th, 2003 for North America. A GameCube port was planned, but ended up being cancelled for reasons that will become obvious later on. If you live in North America, be advised, this game is not, and I repeat, not cheap. I remember going back on GameStop's website in the late 2000s and seeing this and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the PS2 priced at $40 each. You'd be lucky to get them complete. Nowadays, CIB copies go for over triple-digit price, likely because of poor sales and the show's strong following. Even if you didn't pay a ridiculous amount of money to get this though, at any price, the game still feels eh. This game plays out like a lost episode of the show. It was in development in early 2003 and was not released until after the show's initial run on Fox ended. The story involves the Planet Express crew being forced to get back the company after Professor Farnsworth sells the company to Mom. He does this because of mismanagement, or so he says.
I had to. We've been losing money. Perhaps my strategy of using a giant spaceship to deliver one package at a time wasn't as clever as I thought. Plus, you three never actually charged anyone.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry.
This deal gives Mom ownership of more than half of Earth, thus she enslaves humanity because evil. It's up to Fry, Leela, and Bender to save the day. The cutscenes feel like you could hand animate them, and they would fit right into the show. In fact, this game is 28 minutes of new animation, little more than enough to make a new episode. The presentation feels on point, and fans will be right at home. Newcomers will get an idea of what to expect if you never saw much of Futurama. The things are going good so far, until you actually play the game. The gameplay is split across 3 Planet Express crew, Fry, Leela, and Bender. At its core, the game is a 3D action platformer. You'll do the standard platforming goals, going from point A to B, finding collectibles, in this game's case they are nibblers, and generally jump from platform to platform where necessary to get to your goal. Each of the characters plays a little differently from each other. Fry uses guns as his main weapons, and the shooting works well with a lock-on. He's the best character to play as. Bender uses melee moves that involve him spinning like Crash Bandicoot amongst other robot attacks. Leela uses her fists to fight, and well, she's the worst character to play as in this game. Her attacks feel weak compared to her co-workers, and she can't even roll dodge or block or anything defensive. More often than not, you can't attack as Leela without getting hit, and the game can be really stingy with health pickups in some parts. You'll probably end up suffering with her the most. In general, the design feels like 3 different types of characters with different attack methods with the same platforming gameplay. The problem is, none of it blends well together to form a cohesive experience. It feels as you keep playing, it keeps getting worse. Fry's sections are the best, but after you complete his initial part, you don't play as him again until the final level. Bender's sections have some setbacks. This is where the game ups the difficulty, but it's still enjoyable for the most part. Leela's sections are the worst in this game because of her aforementioned problems, which in turn make the levels feel like they're dragging on. They feel like a chore and not fun. They're also a bit confusing and hard to follow, which doesn't help. By the end, you'll just wish it was over. Oh, and there's a Zoidberg level in there where he rides this thing throughout this one part, but it's only the only time you play as him in the game, and after you do, you won't remember it at all. And even when the game does end, the final boss is just underwhelming. It's not Mom, it's just some generic giant robot, and you don't even realize it's the final boss. At least I didn't when I played it. Thus, once you finish it, you'll walk out of the game feeling disappointed and frustrating, and that last boss is followed up by another awful kick-in-the-gut ending. I won't spoil it here, but anyone who has played it, you know. At least the controls work fine, and you do have a good grasp of the characters. Sans Leela ability to do anything defensive. A couple non-platforming sections, such as the aforementioned Zoidberg part, do break up the repetitiveness for a bit, but even if it is forgettable, it does work fine as well. In spite of the gameplay fluctuating like a roller coaster, the presentation is pretty consistent. For starters, the graphics take the well-tested approach of cel shading, the usual strongest option when it comes to cartoon-based games, of course. This approach has helped bring Futurama onto the PS2 and Xbox with familiarity and good looking for the time. The characters look as they should, and with enough work, the non-familiar areas could be properly hand-animated again and also fit well into the show's universe, at least in the actual show. The cutscenes, while not using cel shading, do also look well given the time period, and, well, like I said, they form a new episode. UIs and menus fit well within the game as they would fit within the show, how they look as well, regards. The only part of the presentation that's a bit hit and miss is the camera. While fully controllable, it doesn't rotate up and down normally, and doesn't provide the best views, but it's not often the case here. Also, if you play the Xbox version on an Xbox 360, one of Leela's boss fights' frame rate tanks like hell, and even other parts of the game at times, so maybe play on original Xbox. Another strong presentation part is the sound, in particular the voice acting. All the main cast members reprise their roles, meaning Billy West, Katie Seagal, John DiMaggio, Tress MacNeille, Maurice LaMarche, and David Herman are all here. Sadly, Phil Lamar and Lauren Tom were unable to voice their characters due to budget reasons. Hermes has a non-speaking appearance in level 1, and Amy is completely MIA for the game. Everyone who is here, though, is on their A game, just like the show. It helps that they're being directed by showrunner David X. Cohen. In fact, many of the creative team from the show were brought in, which helps with the atmosphere really shining, since they're literally just putting it in game form. Nothing is lost in translation. Also, the music is on point as well. Composed by longtime show composer Christopher Tring, it also fits right in too, and some of the songs will get stuck in your head, especially the Planet Express level music. All other music fits within the environments. Nothing is out of place. Sound effects are also pretty on point. Again, the same thing, fitting within the universe, don't sound out of place, you know. There is a bit of replayability if you don't go and get all the nibblers on your first run. They unlock cutscenes, the in-game music, and the loading screens, which are pretty funny. Futurama the game, I struggled with. I really wanted to like this game more than I ended up liking it. I love the game's presentation, voice work, graphics, script, sound, and it even controls fine and has some nice collectibles. But the gameplay, it just feels like a mismatch that starts out fine, but by the end, especially after you go through Leela's sections, you'll wish the damn thing was over because of the frustration this game brings. It does have cheats which can soften the blow, but I shouldn't have to use them to balance out the madness in the first place. Compared to other 6th-gen platformers, this one, unless you're a die-hard fan of the show, really doesn't do much to distinguish itself. Given that it was also released around the time the show's initial run ended, it's no wonder it didn't do well, and probably part of the reason why the GameCube version was cancelled. If you are a die-hard fan of Futurama, well, you probably already have this game, but in the event you don't, your mileage will vary when it comes to acquiring it. If you live in Europe, a PAL CIB copy for either console can go from around $20 to $30, which isn't too bad. But if you live in North America, be prepared to spend upwards of $100+. If you can get a good deal on it and you are a die-hard fan, go for it. You'll probably love this game, flaws and all. If you aren't a die-hard fan, either emulate, watch on YouTube, or get the DVD of The Beast with a Billion Backs, as the cutscenes are presented there as a lost episode. Keep in mind, you will lose the fourth wall breaking moments with self-referencing being in a game. Anyone else, you should probably just play a different platformer. I give Futurama the video game a 3 out of 5. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, click the big red button below to subscribe. Check out the other links in the description for more cool stuff, and check out the playlist on screen for more content. See you in the next video.